All right. So I'm going to play my daughter's music in the background because there's a lot of disturbances in the back of my house. You know, the ice maker going off, you know, shit like that. So here we go. All right. So somebody asked me, actually, let's find it. Okay. Somebody asked me questions. So Tracy, hi. I'm so glad. Now, my wonderful YouTube channel with only 3 subscribers, I'm glad you're one of them. Okay, so Tracy asks, maybe you could do a video on your symptoms. And let's talk about anxiety and panic attack symptoms. Let's actually lower my daughter's music a little, if I could figure this out, because I'm a boomer. Well, I'm 49. All right. Okay, her music relaxes me. I don't know why. Okay, so yeah, of all things, right? Okay, so she asks, what are the symptoms? And okay, so as a person who has GAD, and that's a weird sounding disorder, right? GAD. What is GAD, right? GAD is generalized anxiety disorder. Basically, it's anxiety all of the time. And panic disorder is another one I have. And what is panic disorder? It's basically feeling like you're about to die. It's like anxiety times 2,000. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay, so what are the symptoms that I feel? Well, here's a list of some you may have if you have anxiety. Feeling nervous, restless, or tense. Yes, yes, and yes. Having a sense of impending danger, panic, or doom. Oh, yes. This all of the time. Basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm in this. Okay. Having an increased heart rate, yes. Breathing rapidly, hyperventilation. Well, here's my situation. It feels sometimes where I feel like I'm forgetting how to breathe, and that's terrifying. I feel like if I don't think about breathing, I'm not going to actually breathe automatically, and then that leads to hyperventilation, and then it gets harder and harder for me to breathe, and then it moves to feelings of suffocation. When people tell me, like therapists especially, the shitty therapists that are out there, like they'll say, oh, do deep breaths. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out, blow it out. Breathe in, hold it. That does not work. Does not work. Now, some people swear by it. Not for me. It makes my anxiety worse. Okay, sweating. Yeah, not too much for me. More of a feeling of intense burning heat 1 minute and then freezing cold and shivering the next. Oh, here we go. Trembling. Yes, trembling. When my adrenaline blows up, yes. Feeling weak or tired. This one. Every single day, I feel as though I'm exhausted. Like getting up off the couch or out of bed is like a task that is insurmountably hard. Lifting up a finger to wash some dishes is like a big accomplishment if I can even get it done. Trouble concentrating or thinking about anything other than the present worry. Oh, yes. Yes. All it is like a mind fuck. I call it a mind fuck. A mind fuck, it's almost as if another entity lives inside of you. I can't explain it as any other way. It's this thing. I call it this thing. The thing. And the thing constantly feeds like repetitive doom and gloom and terrifying feelings of fear and worry over and over and over. And I call it the what ifs. What if this happens? What if the pain I'm feeling in my stomach is cancer? What if I have a heart attack and die and there's no heaven and no God? Things like that constantly roll out inside my brain. Sorry, I'm getting loads of YouTube notifications. And again, here we go. So these feelings, oh my God, these feelings will not, Jesus Christ, these feelings will not stop. Constant, 24/7. It's like I'm looking for a switch on my body to shut this shit off, and I cannot shut it off. The actual only way I can shut it off is if I do something that's extremely, and here we go again, extremely like where I hyper focus on it. Something that interests me and I can hyper focus on it like a hobby or some kind of thing on the internet. That is the only way to get out of that present worry thought cycle that goes on and on and on. But the minute you stop reading a good book or hyper focusing on some kind of project or distraction, it comes right back. Okay, here's more anxiety disorder symptoms. Panic, fear, and uneasiness. Feelings of panic, doom, or danger. Yes, and yes. I constantly feel like there's this gloom and doom, like the world is an unsafe and unhappy place where any kind of misfortune can take over at any moment and actually be your reality. Like anything that I'm afraid of or terrified of actually makes me feel as it can happen at any moment. And the rug will be pulled out from underneath me. And all these bad fucking things will actually be my reality. Constantly. I can't think of like positivity. It's so hard. It's so hard to put the positivity into the brain. It's as if there's that thing that I was telling you about, the thing pushes out any kind of happy thoughts, any kind of comforting, relieving thoughts, and completely takes over my brain and hijacks it. Okay, sleep problems, yes. I barely ever sleep. I'm up all night. And then during the day, I force myself to lay down, even if it's for 4 or 5 hours. But I wake up in pools of sweat because I have anxiety dreams and traumas that are relived. And I wake up and sometimes I go into a full-blown panic attack because I feel distressed by whatever I was dreaming about. And I don't know what I was dreaming about. Yeah. And so I wake up feeling all sorts of gloom and doom, worry and fear. And it does not go away. Okay, here we go. Cold, sweaty, numb, or tingling hands and feet. That only happens for me during a panic attack. But occasionally my hands shake as if somebody that is an alcoholic that needs a drink. Almost like Parkinson's disorder. If anybody is actually watching me also, especially if I'm holding something in my hand, it makes me even more nervous and my hands will actually start shaking and be unsteady. Shortness of breath, yes, but more so during a panic attack. Breathing faster and more quickly than normal, yes. When my feelings start to snowball, my worries snowball and escalate and get worse and worse and worse, that's when that happens. And heart palpitations, yes. I'm constantly feeling like my heart is skipping beats and it feels like I have stabbing pains in my heart, which ends up leading to a full-blown panic attack a lot of the times. Here we go. Panic symptoms. Let me just lower my daughter's music a little. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, physical symptoms during a panic attack. Pounding or racing heart. Yes. Very, very scary when that happens, because what that leads to, when your heart is beating so fast and so rapidly, you feel as if you can't catch your breath, you can't breathe, which leads to the feeling of suffocation. Now back to the anxiety. I did not mention another thing I deal with, a fogginess of mind. You feel like you're really not there and everything around you is not real. I can't explain that. It's like, pinch me. Am I really here? Sorry about this. Pinch me. Am I really here? Like, I want to feel real. And a lot of times I don't feel real. I feel as if I'm not the person in my own body and I'm a stranger looking at myself outside of my body. And they call that, I believe, derealization and depersonalization. If you've never heard of that before, look that up. That may explain the fogginess feeling that you're, experiencing. So depersonalization and derealization, we'll go over that in a minute. Here we go. Difficulty breathing, trembling, chills, weakness and dizziness. Yes, and yes. Tingly or numb hands, chest pain. And here's my thing. I feel like running. I actually feel like I want to unzip myself out of my own body. I want my skin to be like a banana so I can peel myself out of my body and escape the feelings of terror. I mean, absolute terror and the fear that I am about to die. I want to climb out of that and run away. And so sometimes it'll happen to me in the middle of the night when everyone's sleeping. And that is the worst, because you're looking for someone to save your life because you feel as though you are dying and you are about to die. That's all you can feel at that moment, that you are dying. And and when there's no help around, nobody to talk to, nobody to run to for comfort, that makes it that much worse. There's many a time that I'll feel like calling up 911 and getting an ambulance. And then I feel, but what if my family wakes up? They know that an ambulance is coming to whisk me off, and then they're going to get worried and they're going to get me even more nervous. So a lot of times I suffer my panic attacks in complete silence because I don't like to see other people around me nervous. If they get concerned and nervous, it makes it worse. Way worse. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, I will call the suicide hotline at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm having a panic attack. There's no shame in my game. I will call it. I Google like crisis hotline. I find 1-800 numbers, and I do call. And 9 times out of 10, I will take a Xanax. I'm not going to lie. I will take a low dose of Xanax. And by the time it starts kicking in, the person on the suicide hotline will actually calm me down enough where I'm back to normal again. And I actually feel like, oh my God, it's going to be okay. So let's go over derealization and depersonalization. I think I spelt it wrong, probably. Okay, here we go. All right, so here are the symptoms. Let's go over this. Okay, so feelings that you're outside or an outside observer of your thoughts, feelings, and your body or parts of your body. For example, as if you were floating in air above yourself. And this is where the brain fog thing comes in. You feel very foggy minded, very faint. You know, like you're not really there, but you're there, but you need to convince yourself you're there. Feeling like a robot or that you're not in control of your speech or movements. Yes. And as a matter of fact, I'll even look in the mirror and I feel like I'm looking like a stranger's reflection is looking back at me, and that frightens me and makes the panic and anxiety even worse. Here's another. The sense that your body, legs, or arms appear distorted, enlarged, or shrunken, or that your head is wrapped in cotton. Yes. Emotional or physical numbness of your senses or responses to the world around you. And again, that's the brain fogginess. Sorry about this. A sense that your memories lack emotion and that they may or may not be your own memories. And that is depersonalization. Derealization. Feelings of being alienated from or unfamiliar with your surroundings. For example, like you're living in a movie or a dream. And yes, yes, and yes. And that is that foggy-minded feeling that you're feeling. That is derealization and depersonalization. Feeling emotionally disconnected from people you care about, as if you were separated by a glass wall. Surroundings that appear distorted, blurry, colorless, two-dimensional or artificial, or a heightened awareness and clarity of your surroundings. Either it's one or the other, but for me, it's more of the distorted, blurry, colorless, like everything around me is not real. It's not there. Distortions in perception of time, such as recent events feeling like the distant past. Distortions of distance and the size and shape of objects. So basically, when you're feeling this way, you could be walking down the street, and as you're placing each foot on the concrete ground, it feels like the ground is further away from where your foot should be landing, and you feel as if like the ground is much further away from your feet, and everything around you feels a little distorted and almost like you're in a house of mirrors. That's the way I can explain it. It says episodes of depersonalization, derealization disorder may last hours, days, weeks, or even months at a time. In some people, these episodes turn into ongoing feelings of depersonalization or derealization that may periodically get better or worse, and that's the way it is for me. But for the most part, every single day, I feel like I'm not living in a real world. And it's a very frightening thing. But then when I read about this, I realize I'm not alone, and other people are feeling this too. And maybe this is all just a distortion of my mind with the anxiety and the panic. The problem is, there's not too many therapists out there, and I'm not trying to give you some hopelessness, but there's not too many therapists out there that actually address this sort of thing or understand it. Most therapists do not understand these disorders. They don't understand panic disorder, anxiety disorder, derealization, and depersonalization. They do not understand the dissociative feelings you feel as well. And they're not trained that well anymore. Now, 20-something years ago, back in the 90s, when I was first diagnosed, they actually treated me with something called CBT, which was cognitive behavioral therapy, where they basically reteach you how to think, and how that your thoughts are irrational, they don't actually mean you any harm, and how to push them away and fight them off. And I did the greatest with that type of therapy. Now it seems the new therapists that are out there are trained differently. There's not too many CBT practitioners out there, and if there are, they're not trained very well in it. Now the new type of therapy is called DBT, which is like something called dialectical, and they'll tell you to put your face into a bowl of ice water with ice, or take an ice cold shower, or meditate, or to think happy thoughts and stuff like that. That doesn't work. For most people with panic disorder, severe GAD, or generalized anxiety, social anxiety, or anxiety in general, these methods do not seem to work. The only relief I've been able to get, and I am not a junkie, I am not a drug addict, but an occasional Xanax will actually not make me feel high or sedated, but it will actually make me feel even and normal. And most doctors now will not prescribe it. When I was first prescribed it, they claimed that it was like a diabetic being without insulin, that you are like a diabetic that needs insulin, and the Xanax is your insulin. And they told me I could safely be treated with it for the rest of my life. Fast forward 20-something years later, after my psychiatrist of 22 years retired, what had happened was he told me, you're going to be fucked. No new psychiatrist or doctor will treat panic disorder and anxiety disorders in the long term with a controlled substance anymore due to the opioid crisis and epidemic. And sure as shit, it took me 3 years of suffering where it turned me into a full-blown agoraphobic. Because when I was on my meds and I was well with taking the Xanax, I was not agoraphobic. I had a job, I drove, but being 3 years without it ended up putting me in full-blown agoraphobia, where I barely have left my house probably no more than 4 times in the past 4 years. So because these doctors are willing to only give you antidepressants, which don't work for people like me. Most people do not, with anxiety disorders, do not feel much better from SSRIs. Or something called Buspar. Buspar is pretty much a placebo anxiety drug. It does not work for a lot of us. So that the fact that they took away a medicine that was highly effective, the fact that I kept the same dose for 27 years, never had to raise my dose, but them thinking that it's an addiction type of behavior to take this medication and taking it away from me made my actual condition much worse. And the fact that there's not too many therapists out there that can help this situation makes me worry. It makes me worry. So that's it. That's the end of my video. I hope it's helped you to feel that you are not alone. You are not feeling these feelings alone, that millions of others feel these same feelings. I hope that my video has done some service to you. Thanks for watching. See you guys all soon. And if you can, do me a favor. I want you to follow my daughter, Victorian Deviant, on SoundCloud. She's a really good young and upcoming new rapper. And we'll listen to like 2 seconds of her music because it relaxes me for some reason.
Universal, I read your fellow feeling. The minutes grow when they turn on the building, holding hands with the evening and murdering, many preconceiving, potion of a notion. I'm one of them. You see I'm coming from my soul becoming dull, and I guess that we reap what we sow. Personalities are sold. We fear being alone. We are real miserable types of salesmen. I will impale them with a bit of facts. What is weighing on our backs is slipping through the cracks. I'm the dark streets of London. I'm the lukewarm embrace. I offer ever nothing. Longer for something I can have that heart pumping. Heart of surfing, cupping. I'm a non-digit number. The calls are mundane. They greet me in the summer. Summer. It's universal, versal, versal. It's universal, versal, versal. It's universal, versal, versal. It's universal, versal, versal.
Thank you. See you guys all soon.